30th, 2024 in the year of our Lord. High off the glass. We are here. OThaGreat. I'm in the building. How y'all doing today? So happy to be here. We are doing a special mayoral race episode today. Mayoral race is April 8th. 2025. It's next month. It is literally in a week and a half. Make sure y'all get out and vote. This is going to be a very crucial election. That's why I wanted to do this episode. And I have an esteemed panel today, like I usually do. I am very blessed to have these folks here. I'm going to start with my co-host. This brother's been holding me down since last year and been doing a damn good job with it. Montega Rebel is in the house. What up, Rebel? How you living?
Good afternoon. How y'all feeling?
What's good with you?
Man, blessed. I'm glad to be here.
I appreciate you being here. I appreciate you taking time out your day. How about them Yankees yesterday? 20 runs, dog. You know what I'm saying? Let's go Yankees.
Let's
go.
Yes, sir.
Hey, everybody, what is it? 8, how many? 8 home runs in the first inning?
8 in the first.
In the first. I love to see it. I love to see it. Also, too, we are joined by this young man has been a writer and journalist here in St. Louis for some time. He has been doing it. I have been reading his stuff since I've been here. Moved to St. Louis in 2001. This man has been doing it since then and before then. Very blessed to have him, and thank you so much for Sylvester Brown in the building today.
Thank you very much. Pleasure to be here.
How are you, sir?
Good.
Right on, bro. I like that hat. You are looking smooth like usual.
Thanks, sir. I
appreciate you. And last but farthest from least, we are very blessed to have you have to have women on your panels, and you have to have women to talk to because they can give you insight that you damn sure won't have. And this woman will have insight that none of us has. This is former Missouri State Senator, a former U City. What'd you do for the University of City?
I was a school board member, state representative,
school
board member, or state senator.
State senator from Missouri, school board member for U City. The woman is an activist. She ran for Senate, Missouri, for U.S. Senate last year. I mean, anything that you need, if you need to know about politics, if you need to know how to get stuff done, if you need to know how to run a campaign, if you need to know how to get things, make things better where you live, you talk to Maria Chappalle-Nadal. Thank you, sister, so much for coming.
Thank you.
She actually said that so nonchalant though, like I did this.
Right, thank you.
Here's what I was thinking.
I
wanted to add the
state
fact.
Senator.
I wanted to add the fact that I also garden, and today I've been gardening. And if anyone needs any tips about gardening, I can help you with that too.
Mrs. Green Thumb.
Right, Green. Thank you, man. Well, what Rebel on it? You know what I'm saying? I need some help with trying to grow my cannabis plants. That's what I need help with. I need help with that, and I'm gonna go to Green Room out in O'Fallon, Missouri. They get me together out there with that. Make sure you guys check out my boy Brian, because he is amazing. We are partners here at High Off the Glass with STL Cannabis Club. Oh my goodness, and right on time. You know what I'm saying, boy? I got it for you. Yeah, I mean, right on Tizine, boy. Can I tell y'all? We are partners with STL Cannabis Club. They are the owner of Cola Lounge at 2834 Cherokee Street. And as I said it, the proprietor and my friend, and I mean community activist, cannabis activist, this man right here, I admire this brother. I look up to him. Every time I go to his lounge on the south side on Cherokee Street, I feel better. Everybody give it up for Brennan England, y'all. Give it up for Brennan.
I told you the first time we met him, I did a podcast at his I got interviewed at a podcast at his spot.
Oh, for real?
The first time I met him.
Who did the show? Whose show was it?
It's a MMA fighter that we represent named Too Cold.
That's what's up.
And he came and had us at his spot and did an interview with me and Zeus, who just left.
Oh, I bet.
Wow. Yeah.
He's still sponsored Too Cold too.
Yeah. Cool.
That is tight.
He's only gotten more fierce. Have you seen him?
Yeah. He doing his thing.
Awesome.
He doing his thing.
Man, what up, bro? I'm so happy you made it. Thank you so much.
I know you're gonna call me the genie of joints. Like you was just like, say my name and I appeared.
Bro, you know what I'm saying? Like literally, just like that.
The genie of joints.
You know what I'm saying? Genie of joints. You better trademark that.
Right.
Not the head mouth. All right, so we are. I am blessed. My full panel was here. This is I'm not a St. Louis City resident. I'm a St. Louis County resident, but I lived in the city for 15 some years before I moved out to the county, and I did not want to go. I was forced.
We cannot discount the fact
sir.
that there are a huge number of white people who have problems with black people. And you're seeing that play out with the whole DEI thing and the dismantling of all these programs.
Right.
A lot of white folks, not just conservatives, not just rednecks, who feel that they somehow, whatever black folks get somehow takes away from them. So that's the seeds of this whole contest.
Right.
Cara Spencer is opportunistic. She realizes that she's got the Post-Dispatch. She's got all these powerful billionaire developers. Keep in mind, Donald Trump had billionaire tech folk behind him. She's got these millionaire developers, and she's got, unfortunately, the sentiment of some African Americans. Nobody is harder on black folks than black folks.
You ain't lying. Talk about it.
So
yes, sir.
She has got a cadre of black people who are mad about this $37 million loan program that they feel they were slighted on. We can get more into that later.
Okay.
But if you really, which is what I'm doing right now, an article I'm writing right now, is breaking down Cara Spencer's platform, who is paying for her,
Right.
Why?
Right.
Why are all these developers? Why is Paul McKee's bank?
Right.
Why is Paul McKee's lawyer? Why is Paul McKee's son giving money to Cara Spencer?
Right.
You want me to go into this now, or you just come
Well,
back to it?
here's the thing, and I'm glad you brought that up because this something I took. Your article was amazing. If I encourage all of you to read it. It's with the St. Louis American, Mr. Brown.
it was good.
It was really good. Just released it. I think it was on the 25th.
Last Thursday.
Last Thursday.
Yeah, last Thursday.
Is an excellent interview interview that this man did with Miss Spencer. And the thing that I took from it, I took a bunch of different points from it. But this, when you ask specifically about that, who her donors are, you seem to have attracted. This is you talking to her. You seem to have attracted many wealthy developers who've contributed to your campaign. Bob Clark's. Clayco Construction, Brinkman Construction, Grew Brokerage and Development, ROCO Construction, huge names in the city of St. Louis. You can't build something in St. Louis without seeing those names. Right. And her thing, and her answer to me was disturbing and I believe not factual. I didn't even know about all of those. How do you not know who the hell your donor? Right. How do you not know? And Brennan just Beezus gives me a look that's. How do you not know who your donors are?
It's so insulting.
Like, for real. Like, what type? And according to, and what you counter with, according to financials from Brighter Future for St. Louis PAC, which supports you, right? I should, in her answer, I should watch them more closely, but yes, donations are going toward my PAC, which is supporting me, but I don't get to control them in any way, shape, or form.
It's so disingenuous. Nobody asks you control them. The question is, are they controlling you?
Right.
You know,
right.
Why are they giving you $80,000?
Right.
You know?
Right.
So I can get to that now. Or we can come back to it.
No, go ahead. Jump into it.
Okay. So what we really need to realize is that the was it National Geospatial Industry down on Jefferson?
NGA. Yep.
And CAS. $1.7 billion development.
Yes.
3,000 jobs coming into that area.
Yes, sir.
Now, surrounding that area is properties owned by Paul McKee, who is partnered with Bob Clark.
Okay.
Cara Spencer's biggest
Clayco.
donor. Clayco, biggest
Yes,
donor. So what the city did under Tishaura Jones, they put all that property under eminent domain. So the property that was once owned by these 3 or 4 developers, Paul McKee and his partners, is now open to anybody. We're talking about prime property around the NGA plant.
Yes.
So you're talking about possible restaurants, cultural centers, hospitals.
Right.
Everything is open
Also
to.
valid is that Paul McKee land banked the land that the NGA ended up being built on.
Exactly.
Under all like maybe 3 different entities.
Exactly.
So
exactly.
and that land was land, and so anyone, I'm throwing this up to fact check, allegedly, that land was acquired by those entities under tax dollars given to them to do redevelopment for those areas. And if y'all remember, when they finally opened up Gravois there, after however many years, right there up by the Post-Dispatch building,
Okay.
opened it up. sent it maybe another half a mile down to that convenience store,
right?
Gas station and grocery store.
Right?
So that met the qualifications for the community development requirements.
Yeah.
Because there was some fruit and vegetables within however many square
miles.
miles.
That sounds like bullshit.
What do you call it? Food desert.
And then then he gets, and then the thing is that about these, and again, allegedly, this is all, and anyone can pull this up for fact check, is that the formula goes that land to be bought for a federal organization can't be bought from a private entity. It has to be bought from the city. So the city had to buy it back from Paul before they got to sell it. So he got to double down on the money. And then try to develop around it on money that he got to double down on from the beginning, from the jump.
Right. We're talking about, we don't want to call it corruption, but it is definitely city mismanagement. This dude has gotten millions of dollars.
Folks got the game and gone.
Going way back under Francis Slay, under Lyda Cruzen, millions of dollars to keep this land clean, to develop this land. Dude hasn't developed. He's got like 106 parcels, property that he just allowed to just crumble and deteriorate.
And those are only the ones that are traceable directly to his name. That's not even counting the ones that he's funded or invested in on the side that you can't track him directly to.
What's your name again?
Brennan.
You need to be in journalism.
Talk about it.
But anyway, but he's right. But so what is it? Land Utilization Authority under SLDC, their job is to get rid of blighted property. Their job is to clean up neighborhoods. Now, they had all these community meetings asking folks, what do you want in this neighborhood? And the folks said, we want development, we want housing, we want storage, yada, yada, yada. So with what the community wanted, the SLDC said, okay, we're going to take all this land, put it up for eminent domain, because you have failed to develop the land. Paul McKee's in trouble with the bank. His bank, the Bank of Washington, who invested like $40 million in his properties. If they lose that property, if it goes up for eminent domain, the Bank of Washington loses their investment.
Wow.
So that's why they are investing money into Cara Spencer's campaign.
And then that makes perfect sense. But help me with eminent domain. I thought if it's eminent domain, the local government can take that land without any pushback.
Local government can sell that land.
They can sell that land.
Sell that land to other people interested in the property. They just can't take it.
Okay.
So, and they've already sent out, I think, like 160 offers to buy these land. Right. So again, now you got not just these billionaire developers who can theoretically get this develop this land. Now you got regular folks who can develop this land. That's where the problem is. And you go back to Bob Clark. Bob Clark really got mad because he wanted to build a concrete plant on Goodfellow and Highway 70.
Okay.
But again, SODC said, we've had meetings, and the people don't want a concrete plant.
Right.
They want retail. They want a Walmart. They want a Walgreens. They want a Snooks.
Because there's none of that over there.
In Goodfellow 70. Now, according to the person I talked to at SLDC, Bob Clark didn't like that answer.
Right.
He said, I usually go to SLDC, and SLDC, rubber stamps the deal. And the guy said, not under this administration.
Not anymore.
And he said to me that his response was that he felt it was a slap in the face. Because he spent $111,000 on a proposal. Ironically, when he was turned down for that concrete plant, he gave $111,000 to Cara Spencer.
Wow.
Same time. So I mean,
come on, man. It's crazy. So easy.
But this is not brain science.
It's right here. It's right there in front of you.
You have these very powerful people,
right,
who are underwriting this woman. And again, she was a decent alder woman,
right?
But in my opinion, and that's what I'm trying to prove in my upcoming article, is that she is being a tool, right, for the rich and powerful. Definitely. And it breaks my heart to say there's so many African Americans going along with the okie doke. Right. We ain't never, ever, ever in the history of St. Louis had any investment in North St. Louis. The last time we invested in North St. Louis was back in the 40s and 50s when they built Pruitt-Igoe and the other
experimentation plants.
Exactly.
AKA projects.
Science projects.
Last investment in North St. Louis. So you're talking about 80 years.
Right.
Tishaura Jones is the first mayor that said, no, we're going to invest in North St. Louis, $37 million. I mean, $37 million is just a loan. There's even more in housing and development and street infrastructure. First time.
Right.
In any of our lifetime that she's done that.
Right.
And it breaks my heart that black folks don't realize the significance of that. Not only the significance of that, the danger of that.
Right.
How dare this black woman come along and say, we're going to invest money in North St. Louis? How dare, who the hell does she think she is? So all this is boiling underneath. All this is boiling underneath this so-called election. And the Post-Dispatch to me has been horrendous. I mean, just openly, blatantly out to get this woman. Yeah, they're
one-sided. Question for you. Now, you brought this, I read this in your article, and you just touched on it. The SLDC.
St. Louis Development Corporation, yes.
She is, from her words and from your questions, she is serious on dismantling that organization and putting either dismantling it or putting a figurehead on top so she can control it. That is directly behind who's paying her. I just don't understand why. I get it that the Post-Dispatch is in the bag for her, but why have they not? Why aren't more entities or in journalism journalists telling the truth about this woman and what's going on?
Let's be clear. She is not admitted to wanting to dismantle SLDC. She says she wants to fire Neil Richardson, the head of SLDC, which is the same thing. But she ain't blatantly came out and said she wants to dismantle it and reorganize it, yada yada.
Right.
But she's lodged enough false complaints about it. She said that the CEO and the chairman should not be the same thing, even though it has been the same thing under different administrations. She said that SLDC is not being transparent following the Sunshine Rules, even though there's no proof that SLDC has not followed. Our Mayor Jones has not replied to Sunshine requests.
Right.
Even on her website, she gives 2 links, but they have nothing to do with SLDC.
Right.
So yeah, she's being very slick about what she says and doesn't say. She hasn't said she wants to dismantle it, but all the indicators, the investors, the developers, the other politicians, they want a shakeup of SLDC. Right. Keep in mind, SLDC has a board of 9 people.
Okay.
So even though Neil Richardson is the CEO and the president of SLDC, there are 8 other people who have to vote on any kind of resolution, any kind of action.
Now, was that? But that I don't mean to interrupt. But is that a conflict of interest with him being the CEO and the chair?
No, not really. I mean, theoretically, it could be.
Okay.
But Otis Williams and the other guy who served under Cruson, forget his name.
You had it in the interview.
Two other, they had periods when they served in that role.
Okay.
Now, could it be a conflict of interest? Yeah. If the chairman and the president had complete control over the board, he does not.
Right.
Again,
there you go.
8 board members make a decision. So they vote on everything. Tishaura Jones didn't appoint Neil Richardson as the head of SLDC. She nominated him. And those 9 board people voted on that nomination. Wow. So they put him in place. Okay. Not Tishaura Jones is what
Miss Spencer would like
us
to believe.
Right. So there's a whole lot of subterfuge.
Right.
A whole lot of saying things without saying things under the umbrella that we don't trust black folks anyway.
Right.
We don't think black folks are qualified to run anything.
Yeah, which
so
is
that is
true.
the underlying reality
that
we're not really being honest about. I'm gonna try to be as honest as I can.
Please do. And that's just what that is, man. That goes back to a program they gave us since we've been here. You know, and just for us to divide and conquer, for us to hate on each other. For those of you that have an opinion on the topic and would like to call in, 515-599-1687, 515-599-1687. For those of you that just now grabbed your pen, it's all good. 515-599-1687. Call in and let your voice be heard on this matter. Miss Nadal, what are your main concerns from this election?
I don't know if you really want to hear it because I think
I'm going
to be like the one and only in the spot that I am.
Okay. That's why I came here.
Let me preface by saying that I've known Tishaura and her father since we were children.
Wow.
My father and her father were best friends.
Okay.
You couldn't be any closer than her father and my father.
Nice.
So with that said, for the entirety of the time she has served as mayor, I have stood in silence of my opinions, only because of that respect.
Okay.
But if you're asking me to break that silence of what I've been thinking, then I will do that.
Please do.
Here it comes.
So let me start. This is the same black woman who disrespected the second African American woman who served as the county council's chair in St. Louis County. This is the same, huh?
Jones did?
Yes, she did. She when we were going through the battle of leadership of the county council, someone who was white and wrongfully elected as chair, Tishaura Jones was, yes, Madam Chair, disrespecting the second African American woman to be appointed, elected as the chair of the county council.
Oh, wow.
That's number one. Number two, have you been? It's my turn.
No.
Number
Well,
two.
he just asked a question. He just said,
What?
what was the name?
The county councilman.
The person I'm talking about, Rita Days. She disrespected her. It's on her Twitter page. The other thing is, have you been on Coke Brilliant lately or Newstead? Like, how many years have we been waiting for I haven't. I'm on these streets every single day, and I'm just telling you, they're getting worse and worse. And some of the most beautiful old buildings, mansions, if you will, in North City, they've been just disregarded. And I've seen that. You know, we could talk about Crown Candy and that intersect. I mean, that's beautiful, but just go a few blocks over and you'll see dilapidated buildings. People are still homeless all over the place. Not saying that St. Louis County is better, but yes. The other thing that I have a problem with, again, it's something I've been concerned with. We run in some of the same circles during the holidays. And so she freely ignores me, even though I've known her all my life. And it's fine because I don't really care. But if you're a black leader and we once served together in the legislature and our fathers were best friends, you would at least say hello.
You all served together in St. Louis County?
In the legislature.
Oh, in Jeff City. Oh, for the state. There you go. Bless you.
So, you know, I think in many ways Tishaura has put herself in a position, go to her first campaigns for mayor. You had millionaires who were supporting her. You had Richard Callow who supported her. You know, she has Sam Page who has supported her. She's had a lot of rich people supporting her, and because of that, she got more and more arrogant with time. And so she what I am seeing as though I think the only person who's run for office, you have a lot of people who give to you. Sometimes you don't know. Sometimes people bundle money, and you're just you have a goal of maybe it's $50,000, maybe you have a goal and it's $100,000, and people are bundling. You may not know where all your money comes from. You know where your small money comes from.
From big donors like that, though?
No, you don't. You don't, because you're hustling on the streets. You have to walk doors. You're sweating every single day. And so when you're asking someone who loves you, appreciates you, and, hey, can you bundle 50? Can you? I mean, I don't think I've ever been able to say that. But, there are people who get together and say, we want to support X candidate for these reasons. I don't know what the reasons may be. They've been really great. MATA was one of the groups that supported me across the state. And when you call MATA members, these are the trial attorneys. They're like, when I call them on the phone, I'm just doing what the director of MATA tells me. Whoever they say that we're going to endorse, I'm just going to write the check. They literally will tell you that. So, I mean, yeah, I can't talk too much about Bob Clark. I can talk a lot about Paul McKee. But the other things that I would worry about, here's the other thing. I think you guys know that I'm big on the environment. There was a bid in the city of St. Louis, I want to say last summer or the summer before, on a smokestack that has radioactive waste in it. There were only 2 bids on that, and not one of the landfills in Missouri would take any of that waste. That's a bid that St. Louis City sent out knowing that there's contamination that can make any of those workers sick, any of the particulates in the air could get people sick. And so what did they do? Not have a bid that consisted of anything that would be in line with protecting people from the environment. If we're going to go on, let's talk about the old Pruitt-Igoe, which is now the ENGA. That is also contaminated.
It is?
Yes.
That area is, wow.
Zinc, cadmium sulfide, and radioactive particulates. Okay. Read Lisa Martino Taylor's book.
Wow.
And so that's been a problem for a long time preceding Tishaura, but it was a black person who allowed that site to be developed, so.
Who was the person that allowed it?
Lacey Clay. He's the one who negotiated that whole NGA thing.
Now, and I want to go back a tick because you're bringing up good points. And to anyone who thought that everyone here was going to be on the Jones ticket, you thought wrong.
And stay silent out of respect.
No, I get it. I get it.
I'm very clear about that.
Yeah.
You perhaps in 8 years could find a tweet or two in 8 years. For me, that's nothing.
No. This is one thing that I know about you, and you do not have to give your bona fides on that. You did the same thing when it was in the Senate race. You kept quiet for a while, and you weren't going to get it because you didn't want to go against Corey. But it's stuff. You got pushed. You had to. And I get that. My question is this. Can you blame the city because they didn't get a good bid on environmental waste? They can't force someone to take
This is when you know about your environment. Every piece of policy that you have that's related to development, there always has to be a layer that looks at the environmental issues. St. Louis City has almost as much contamination, radioactive waste, as St. Louis County. In fact, the history of contamination starts in St. Louis City, starts in St. Louis City, on Broadway, starts in St. Louis City. Then it went to St. Louis County, and I purposely repeated that because it started in St. Louis City.
Right.
And there has not been any policy from the mayor's office, from anyone on the board of aldermen dealing with that. When I was a state senator, I dealt with St. Louis County. I could have dealt with St. Louis City. I wasn't getting paid to deal with St. Louis City, but I can tell you about St. Louis City.
Right.
Their folks have to do their homework unless you want to pay me to do your work for you.
Right.
But since you're not going to pay me, I'm not going to do that.
Well, quick question with that then. If and since it's been like this for years, did Cruson or did Slay, who Slay was mayor for 17 years, did he?
You know who did? Let me tell you who did. Shamel did.
Who?
Shamel did.
I don't know who that.
Where did
go in the history.
Tell me.
Shamel did. All you have to do is go to Kate. Hold on.
Who is Shamel?
Shamel is a former mayor. I do think that he's supporting Cara. And if you go into K-Dry's historical documents, which there are probably over 500 boxes of it, which I've gone through because I research and that's what I do, you will find articles while Shamel was mayor about making sure not only the airport
was that prior to Slay? Who was?
Yes, that was prior to Slay.
It was Cruson, Slay, Harmon, Bosley, Shamel.
Oh,
so,
wow,
I only knew that because I go through K-Dry's records, which is at the Missouri Historical Society, and at the same time, and you have articles about her father, too, going to jail and all that. But, I spend time going through historical environmental records.
Right.
Everybody knows that. So that's where I'm getting my reference, and you can go to the Missouri Historical Society and do a search for that. Okay. But that's where I found that.
Okay.
What environmental legislation did Shamel do?
He was an advocate for cleaning up and making sure people were safe.
What areas did he
the
actually
airport
implement?
The airport. There
In
was
the
even
city.
another. The airport is the city.
Okay.
The airport is the
owned
city.
by the city. It was owned by the city.
Yeah, it's not St. Louis City.
Yes, it is. The airport.
That's
It's
a
a whole. No, it's a whole.
That's
it's gonna take
St.
too
Louis
long.
City?
It's good. It's a whole conversation.
I've never heard that.
It's a whole conversation, but it is
Yeah.
the city of St. Louis.
Okay.
But there are
Municipality there
multiple
sucks.
articles, and I wish I could remember the black woman who worked alongside Shamel, who was she wrote a letter. It was a 4-page letter that this black woman who was an alderman wrote in those files. But Shamo was working with other aldermen to make sure that the contaminated property around St. Louis City in the county was safe for people.
Okay.
It's just a fact.
Last question before I go to B. Is any of your opinion on Jones? Is it any of it maybe personal because she hasn't?
That's why I'm biased in two ways. I'm biased because I've served as a legislator for 16 years. I'm biased because I have served in government and have developed policy for 22 years.
Okay.
And I remember things in the House. I've been silent, while she's been mayor.
Right.
But, I don't mind. I wouldn't mind. In fact, my mom supported Cara the first time. She was in one of her commercials. That's not why I support her. But I will say that I'd give anybody a chance. If you're unhappy with one person, then you look for another person. And I also take offense to saying that the black people who are supporting Cara are like misguided or something, because everybody has a right to have their own opinion. Just like I have my own opinion, although it may be biased based on 22 years of legislation and policy background. People do want to change. Obviously, we have a congressman that people liked.
No one liked him. I don't think misguided is what Mr. Brown was alluding to. I think what he meant was uninformed. I mean, if you see where this woman is getting her money from, that would give you pause.
Then I would say, look at Tishaura's money the first and second time she ran for mayor.
Huh. Okay. All right. Well, great.
Order up.
I love this. All right. So B, what are your what's your opinion on it?
Yeah, so first I just want to say that I just want to remind everyone that false dichotomies, false dualities in team sports is what we all get shoved into whenever we come to this point in politics, where we get stuck between a fork in a road, where we feel like we have, choosing one side or another ends up, for a lot of people, being like a team sport. It's like, I got to put on the jersey. So all I'm saying is can I cuss on this show?
Yeah.
Keep the fucking jerseys off, y'all.
Sure. Right.
This is not a team sport, okay? Politics is not a team sport. We get fooled into thinking it's a team sport by the talking heads behind the podium so that we make fast decisions, okay? It's more complicated and more dynamic, and I have criticisms, qualms, and supports about both candidates, with that said. I do think that there's a concern that we do need to make sure that if Tishaura did have plans in place that, like she says, she needs more time, that those things are actually put in a scalable form of like, okay, what did you have time for?
Right.
What are the things that you said that you need more time for? And what does that timeline actually look like now?
Why are you putting it down?
That's one. Two is, with looking at her funding, one of the pieces of her funding that's the most controversial is she's got 6 G's in her account from Tilly in the Republican campaign. I brought this up when you were saying that. I was like, I'm not going to interrupt you. I'm going to wait. But
for Jones,
yeah,
$6 million in account from Tilly.
6 G's.
6 G's.
6 G's. Yeah, 6,000. Which is,
that's not a lot.
If you look, it's not. But if you look at how
your face,
if you look at how the ratios are, Tishaura still actually has more money in the bank right now. Okay. Because of her funding.
From 4 years ago.
Well, not just 4 years ago, from her funding arc over the last 4 years.
Yeah.
Because she's had vested interests that have paid out over time that made sure that what they wanted to get done got done. Just like we were talking about there were millionaires and billionaires that made sure that she got where she is.
Right.
And so what they're going to do is that they're going to make sure that they keep these politicians distracted. They're going to throw them bones like dogs and be like, yo, you got to look, we got more crime. Look, we've got more people dying on the street of fentanyl. Look, we got more black folks that are mad because we got more white folks that are moving into disenfranchised neighborhoods.
Gentrification is real.
Yeah, gentrification is real.
That's been happening.
And a lot of times those things are coaxed and antagonized to distract us while these corporate plays are made. And they're used to distract the candidates themselves. So whenever these larger entities are making these chess moves, they are... I encourage folks to also humanize these candidates because they are on the ground, they are sweating, they don't really know all of the inner workings that are going on in this big thing that now they said that they're going to represent.
Right.
Because ultimately, it's bigger than that one person. It's a system that was in play generations before they got there. Paul McKee's daddy set him up.
Right.
So they got, there's generational chess moves being put out here.
Right.
When we talk about McKee, we're talking back to the original red line. We're talking back to the original fucking the formulation of the highways type shit. When I talk about eminent domain, that's why eminent domain exists. So that they can sit there and rip up the cities and splice us up by race.
Yeah.
Thank you for Overland.
Yeah.
So this is like what we're looking at right now is that we're looking at an axis in my mind of who is trying to play the quid pro quo game. Who's trying to get the people to the table now, appeal to their better interest, so we can get them to stop sending their money to fucking Chesterfield. Because when you look at the development, when you look at, we got the factory out there, they are replicating Midtown in Chesterfield right now.
Yes, they
while
are.
Green Street is fucking eviscerated, bleeding on the street, about to shut down everything they own in the city.
What's Green Street?
Green Street is the company that owns all that's developing Midtown. That owns what's it called? Where the City Foundry, the thing next to it that just had to close.
The Arsenal.
Yep, the Armory.
Armory, my bad.
They also own the big Bark building right there off of Van Deventer. The Bark Dog Park with like all the development and shit. It's like gazillions of dollars, right? And so, they also own the building that Urban Chestnut was in. Had to thumb up on Urban Chestnut until they had to close in the Grove this past year.
Wow.
Because they weren't paying their shit either.
Urban Chestnut.
Urban Chestnut shut down that one of their. I mean, that place is crazy busy.
Yeah.
So there are next level plays being made that there's money exiting the city, and if we don't make those plays right, then we're just going to end up with another plighted, deprived, fucking gutted city that no one wants to come to anyway.
Okay.
So hold on, let me finish.
Go ahead.
So the biggest thing is who's bringing who to the table for what reasons.
Right.
When we look at the NGA, when we look at the Northside developments, why would it matter for them to have a vested interest, or to have them feel like they have a voice at the table, or maybe like the Bob Clarks, for him to feel like his gazillions of dollars are actually going to do something in the city? Maybe so that we can actually lead those things in a direction that we can actually make them do something for our good instead of theirs. And so I'm not saying that that's the only reason. I'm not saying that there aren't, that there couldn't be meddling. Do I think that either candidate is moving out of malice? I really don't. I think that St. Louis politics are so fucked up, even so much more even than Detroit or Philly. And we have crime in our politics here. Organized crime.
I know Philly politics is fucked up.
So organized that that's all I'm gonna say, type shit. Because I'm not even gonna talk about it. Type away if you want to find the things that I ain't gonna say. All I'm gonna say is there have been plenty of times that I started to call the cops and then set down the phone because I saw there was some shit going on that they didn't want to hear about anyway.
I say it.
Yeah, I mean, say it. It needs to be said. Or you bring out organized crime. That's a whole nother thing.
Yeah, and so when organized crime intersect with politics, then you have, well, I mean, shoot, we gonna go back to Niecy?
You went to DC?
You know what I'm talking about?
Oh!
Yeah.
Niecy, what do you mean,
I can't
Niecy?
believe he just did that.
Say that. What do you mean,
That's
Niecy?
dropping a bomb.
Bring me up to speed.
But does it though bring it into perspective?
It does.
What does that mean, Niecy?
It's honestly, it is something that, like, for real, it's like it's a big enough it's a big enough thing that, like, all of this, like, the way I'm going to abbreviate it is, politicians, black and white, have been infiltrated and influenced by corporate crime in this city for centuries.
Man, that's throughout the country.
Well, I mean, but because we are a red brick city, like, Capone didn't exist if he didn't have a St. Louis. Do the reading on why Capone was able to run Chicago the way he was is because he had touch points all the way into Cherokee Street.
Yeah.
To all of those caves underneath underneath the city, and how they were moonshining tons of money that was agreed with local politicians.
What's Niecy though? What is that? What's Niecy? You don't want to. You said it.
You would have to.
The only reason why I said it that way is because it's one of those levels of politics that got so dirty that anyone that got wrapped up in it ended up getting fucked with.
Well, yeah.
So,
okay.
But point being is that. Okay,
But they know.
Yeah, and I'm gonna land the plane. Is that. You have to look at the bigger systems.
Yeah.
You have to be able to look at, like, break down the false dichotomies. Don't feel like you have to go one way or another just because. But know that both of these people just as most people need to be humanized, that they got into these things because they wanted to do right. And that there are such big systems at play behind them that if we're not looking at the whole web, like my man here is talking about, like my lady here is talking about, if we're not looking at the whole ecosystem, then we're just getting into team sports. So I'm not telling you a yes or no on either candidate. I'm just broadening the lens right now.
Oh, man.
I'm broadening the lens, and I'm saying this shit gets icky.
Right.
And I'm saying that if you want to look at either of them, Tishaura needs to be held accountable for what you're going to do with that money because you had it already.
Right.
And Cara needs to be held accountable for these people that you're bringing to the table. How do we know that they're not just going to squeeze us up and out of here and you're just a puppet?
Right. I have a couple counters. I feel like Mr. Brown does too. Go ahead, say what you want to say.
No, I'll wait.
Okay, you wait. Okay. Okay. My first question is, well, Mr. Brown, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
Okay. My first question is, and this is to those that know, from the donors that Jones had in the first to this one, are they, what I'm basically saying is the donors that she had that gave her so much money in the first election, have they left her and gone to Spencer? Does anyone know that?
Well, it's obvious in where you see yard signs. I mean, let me tell you, Cara Spencer...
I just mean corporate. I mean corporate donor, not
I don't
people.
know that, but I'm sure they've left her. I mean, and I still would say look at yard signs. Cara Spencer has more yard signs than what is residential left in North St. Louis City.
I believe that, but I'm corporate dollars is what, because the reason why I'm focusing on that is because Brennan brought up a point saying that, you know, if you look at it as a whole, Jones has more money right now than Spencer does, you know, with past election and people donating for the last 4 years. My only thing is, the people that supported her before, the corporate donors, the people, they're powerful, but they don't have as much money as the corporate entities. Okay, go ahead.
The biggest one is Bob Clark.
Okay, and he supported her 4 years ago.
Yep.
Okay, Now, to me,
he
go
originally. Ahead. Let's see. I'm trying to see how much that he gave.
You did that real quick.
I'm trying to see which one.
The boy can research his ass off.
Oh yeah.
He's good.
I don't. Yeah.
He don't F around.
So let's see. Contributing $111,000 to the Political Action Committee, A Brighter Future, which supports Spencer. And I'm trying to see how much that he gave to Jones, but I can't find it.
Okay.
That fast.
That's on the NEC, and it's something that people who watch would know.
My only comeback to that is, okay, she got supported money from them. She got an office. She didn't do exactly what they wanted her to do. Now they're supporting someone else. I mean, that's just me. I mean, if you look at it, I feel like that's common sense. I could be wrong, but that's kind of how I look at it. Mr. Brown, what say you?
Well, I said that needs to be verified. I'm not sure who supported her in the first run and is now supporting Cara Spencer. I can't answer that question.
Okay.
I can address a couple of things that Maria said. Number one, she talked about a building on Colt Brigham Avenue that she's not seen any development on. Tishaura Jones has a website that shows where all the neighborhood investments have been. And they're all over the cities, north and south. But you see streets you ain't never seen before. Belt Avenue, Union Avenue, Goodfellow.
Right.
Areas that have never seen any kind of investment. So just go look and see where the investments are. Secondly, you talked about Rita Days. A whole lot of people had trouble with Rita Days. I had problems with Rita Days when she came out against
I had problems with it too.
mandate. So to say that that's one of your reasons, that's good for you, but not good for the community. Secondly, you said that the Port site, understand that where the NGA is not what Port is. Port was across the street. Those what was it, 80 10-story buildings were not the site where NGA was.
The contamination was airborne.
Fine.
There was no wall
on the
in the
site,
sky.
it's in the ground.
Okay, so if you understand the movement of spraying and the air, it doesn't stop at a street or at a tree. It expands.
I
and one
understand
of
that.
the things you have to do is look at the movement of soil.
So you said the movement moved from across the street to the
The
other
movement of soil. There was
housing
not
developments. There were housing on the site where the NGA was built. I'm not saying that there's no contamination there, but I am saying that I've been writing for 35 years. I have never ever seen a policy by Vince Shamel to clean up the environmental area, including Port Igo. Never ever seen that. If you can Google that, show me that right now.
I don't have to prove to you in someone else's research at the Missouri Historical Society.
We're talking about policy or his thoughts about the
when you have an opinion as an elected official, it is a policy.
No, it's not. No, it's not. A policy is
wait a minute. I don't understand why we are arguing about the research that is in one of the largest landowners' information banks at the Missouri Historical Society.
We're not arguing about that.
If you want to look at it, all you have to do is look for it.
We're not arguing about that. What we're arguing about is you're saying that Vince Schaemmel had a policy. He did not have any policy, nor did Slade, nor did Cruiser. Nobody had a policy on environmental cleanup.
I'm not standing up for him. I'm just saying what I read.
You read where he said nice things about cleaning up the environment. Okay, cool. That's not a policy. That's not saying, okay, I mandate the Land Utilization Authority to clean up all the toxic or radioactive waste at the Pruitt-Igoe site. They did that on Grand and St. Louis Avenue at the old carburetor site. They did not do that at Pruitt-Igoe.
I'm not talking about the carburetor site. I am talking about what I read in newspapers actually. Articles
about policy by Vince Schaemmel?
I'm saying that there were articles in the daily paper that are in the files of K-Dry, who is one of the biggest environmentalists
about policies by Vince Schaemmel?
About Vince Schaemmel.
Vince Schaemmel's thoughts on the environment.
Those are two different things. Those are also policies.
Thoughts are not policies,
You can
do
Maria. Administrative policies, and you can also do policies in terms of...
There were no administrative policies.
Isn't it just like minutia, though?
This is minutia.
No, it's not. A policy is different from a thought.
No, there's a trigger.
It's not minutia. That's a concrete difference.
There's something that triggered you. I'm just telling you about my research. You can go yourself.
It's like 3 subcategories deep on what the actual topic is, which is like...
I like investment in black communities. I love that.
We all do.
But that's not a policy.
We all do.
Only Tishaura Jones had a policy on that.
Okay.
And I get what he's saying.
And that's the topical point, is you're saying Tishaura is the only one that has had
policy for North St. Louis.
And was it specifically for waste contamination remediation?
Two different subjects. Two different subjects.
Well, it wasn't a different subject when you're talking about Vince Schaemmel, though.
We were talking about Vince. You saying that Vince Schaemmel had a policy on environmental cleanup. I'm saying he did not.
We're talking about the smokestack in which Tishaura Jones did not address the radioactive waste problem in St. Louis City.
Okay.
And the only mayor who dealt with that from my research was Vince Schaemmel.
No,
that is a fact.
You're only talking about the smokestack. You're not talking about
I'm talking
about
environmental waste at the airport. That's what I stated earlier.
We talked about environmental waste at Pruitt-Igoe. And I'm telling you, Vince Schaemmel had no policy to clean that up.
I didn't say that he did. I said the airport.
Did you hear that?
I said the airport.
She mentioned the airport.
I didn't say about Pruitt-Igoe. I did talk about Pruitt-Igoe in the sense that there was contamination there.
Of course.
I didn't say that Schaemmel said anything about Pruitt-Igoe. I didn't say that.
Rebel, go.
Okay.
I got a question. You said that Deborah Sting, she's like there's. But did you say there's like development being done on Belt and Coke Brilliant?
I said there are streets that are doing have infrastructure development and housing development. I've never ever seen it before. And on that site, you'll see streets like Belt, and you'll see streets like
So when you say that, before I make my next statement, what does that exactly mean?
It means that money has been earmarked for housing development in those areas or in those streets.
So they're to receive that money to start developing and doing things.
Yes, and I don't know how long that takes.
So my question, that was my next question. How long have they had this money, or how long? Like, because my family lives in those same areas that you're talking about.
Okay.
And that place is like a zombie land over there.
Satellite
it has
I
been
don't know
for
how long,
quite some time.
It's taken me NGA 7 years.
Satellite
to get
question
built.
is, once it's able for development, who is going to develop it? And if it is developing now, who are the developers that now have ownership in these black communities that are building and making money off these homes?
Because I can say for the last,
is it not bump outs?
And I'm saying this because
we're not talking about little roundabouts and little curb bump outs and shit, which is what we got on the south side.
Since I've been here since 2016, right?
Really look like nothing.
Right.
I've been back over here since 2016. This is now 2025. Those same areas look like The Walking Dead since 2016, bro.
Clearly.
Yeah, it looked like Skid
So
Row.
I'm saying, so what I'm trying to find out and get to the bottom of is like you said, they have this money to develop and do, but like how long does that take? How long, you know what I'm saying? Like when are they going to start bringing bulldozers in? When are they going to start bringing equipment over there and start developing You know,
Right,
that's just like me saying,
I get it.
that's just like being at a church and saying we're taking up a building fund. You do this every week, but you ain't put a doorknob on the church yet.
Yeah. It's a
You know
little
what I'm
bit
saying?
different.
Like,
Go.
I don't know. Maybe I'm
But
tripping.
my
Maybe I'm
question to
tripping.
you is: have you looked? Have you?
I'm
really-
over there every day.
Are you all over there? Have you looked?
Yeah.
Have you looked at these areas that have the money?
Yes.
Have you looked at the areas where the money has been allocated? Number one. Have you looked at where the money has been allocated and seen what's been going on over there?
I don't see nothing
Now,
going on
I'm
over
telling
there.
you, I don't know how long it takes for development.
I don't
to
see
start.
nothing. What I
You
do
can
see
al-
is a bunch of Arabs coming up with buildings every damn week, every other month. I do see that. I do see other people besides our people coming up with buildings and spaces and lots and getting shit cleared and coming up with. I do see that, but I do not see. I'm over there every day in them areas. The north side,
right.
Union, Coke Brilliant, St. Louis Avenue, Arlington. Ain't nothing being done over there.
Nothing.
Nothing is being done over there, bro.
And all I'm saying
Also,
is,
like,
I'm
Houston,
saying
like the
is-
Greenway, like the Greenway Connect, like there are so many other dev plans that go all the way past Cruising, all the way back that have had. Well, I guess Cruising it was in 2017.
I work for a property management company.
Delmar-
So when you say like the areas like Crown and all that, like the company that I work for doing maintenance, they have properties in those areas.
That's
a lot
actually
of
how,
shit get done over
this
there.
is how McKee was able to get all these properties on the north side is because of development funding that goes into these areas. Tishaura Jones is not the first person to put tax money or incentivize it. That's how this whole flip-flop of gentrification has happened on the north side of the red line that I've been talking about for generations. Cruising or Jones is not the first mayor to put money north of the red line. And she's not the first one to put initiatives in place to say that it was going to do development.
Well, who was? Because I don't remember any mayor doing that
trust
before
neither
her.
one.
There were
Who?
plans for the north side 50 years ago
Having
that have
plans
never
and
been
actually doing it.
implemented.
That's
Like-
like, listen. This
I don't
is how
trust neither one of them.
This
What
is how
plans?
NGA was able to get this land. This is why Paul McKee is a Paul McKee, because that's why the red line exists. Is that they said we're going to cut off infrastructure. All right, y'all want black politicians? Y'all can have black politicians, but you're getting no infrastructure. We're not replacing a fucking fire hydrant. We're not replacing any plumbing. We're not gonna. If a street falls in, we're not gonna.
Because your alderman is black?
Yeah,
I disagree.
No.
Why do you
This
say
is-
that?
This is how the red line worked. So the way that the red line wasn't just saying that real estate developers are now only going to start selling to black folks north and white folks south. What it said was also how they are going to invest public and city dollars in development and infrastructure, not just in redevelopment, but also in maintenance. So it allowed for buildings to collapse in. That's why north of the
Yes.
red line, why you have these big ass mansions where you have white folks. They went to the first black family whenever a house cleared out. They moved a black family in on a ridiculously high interest rate. Went to all the white folks and said, "Hey, your property values just went down. I got this nice ass little cul-de-sac out here in St. Charles for y'all to move. I'm gonna buy this house from you on cents from the dollar. Move in a whole bunch of black folks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Put them all in debt. Run these motherfuckers into the ground. Then bring my son in with his new development company and say, look, I'm a little philanthropic do-gooder. I need all the money from the city to help all these black people.
Yeah.
So give me money so I can be Paul McKee."
Yeah.
Type shit.
Yeah.
I
hear
can
what you're
tell
saying.
you
I
something.
hear what you're
I
saying.
can tell you something I've seen. Right on St. Louis Avenue by Greer. If you go into those homes that were built around the 60s, some of them were caving in because that neighborhood sits on a landfill. What I have seen in the last few years is that some of those homes that were sinking into the landfill are no longer there. Maybe that's an achievement, but the rest of the people who are living on top of that landfill, those homes that the black doctors used to live in, the black lawyers used to live in, they're all still living on top of a landfill that has contamination in it, and they're sick and they're dying. So if the achievement is that 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 homes are no longer there, then there you go. I guess that's an achievement.
So I think the bottom line that where we're aligned is like all the glitters ain't gold. We've gone down this road before. This is not the first time we've had funding in North City. It's not the first time it is the first time that we're hearing it from a black voice, which also gives it another layer of perceived trust. But that also means another layer of perceived manipulation. All skin folk ain't your kinfolk. And it's like,
I don't feel like I'm being manipulated by Jones.
I don't trust neither one.
I don't feel like that.
Right,
I don't feel like Jones is manipulated.
But I think
No.
that Jones, like every politician, she's being manipulated by all of these corporate interests that were there to coax her the first
B,
time.
I totally disagree. If that was the case, they would still back her. They're not. They're backing Spencer. So that
Manipulated
doesn't
to do
make
what? B?
Yeah.
Well, the biggest thing is if you're in a position of political power, it's not always a thing of that you're being manipulated to do what they want. It could have even been that she was manipulated to fail. Mm-hmm. It's
That's yeah.
That's very deep.
Yeah.
Manipulated to fail is a whole
It's
level.
a whole nother
deepness.
level.
That's Steve Tilley level, though.
Look,
Right.
that's what I'm saying. It's like we have, yes, exactly.
That's Steve Tilley.
You can't put a level on deception.
Yeah, especially when
There's no level on
Good
it.
call.
Come on, man. You
Yes,
can't
very
do
good
that.
call.
She's on point, because whenever you look at the entire system and you look at follow the money and then follow what happens with that money, like damn, how hard is it for her now that she's got that Tilly money? It completely moves her from the middle. It pushes her away from a part of her base. You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Tilly wrote the language in the St. Louis County ordinance for marijuana distributors. He wrote that language. Nobody else wrote that language. He was in a law office where Sam Page was raising money. At the same time, he wrote that language that was adopted. You know, so he knows how to this is the former Speaker of the House who likes to play chess.
Yeah.
You got that shit.
Like it,
Chess
and
moves.
only it's what people used
Chess
to
Hall of Fame,
say.
anybody? It's all
You
about
better
chess.
know the
It's all about
rules
that.
in order to play the game.
Right.
If you don't know the rules, you can be manipulated. It's very easy for you to be manipulated. I've seen it, but once you know the rules, once you know how to play the game, you can twist and turn and manipulate and say something so convincingly in someone's face where they feel it, and you're totally deceiving them.
100%. I want to hear.
There is
I
no
want to
I
have
watched
Mr.
that
Brown's
debate.
point.
She
There's no
wordplayed
doubt.
the hell out of them.
Word. Mr. Brown, before you answer, I got to ask this though. Steve Tilley, with him writing, what is he? Besides him writing the I guess the cannabis laws and how that's interpreted, what is his role in this?
He's like a Dick Callow, which is a mastermind.
Okay.
He is one of those people who can play 10 games of chess simultaneously.
Okay.
Those are among some of the most dangerous but respectable people.
Lobbyist?
You don't have to like him. Yeah, now he's a lobbyist.
That sounds
You don't have to
exactly
like
what
him.
he is. Yeah.
But when you can play 10 games of chess at the same time, you're a dangerous person.
Yes, I don't like him. Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, Mr. Brown.
There is no doubt that there are millionaires who supported Tishaura Jones who had their own agendas. No doubt. That's the part of politics.
Yes, sir.
But when you can make a direct link between developers who want to develop land, the bank who stands to lose millions of dollars and land,
There you go.
and the future of an area that is
Worth how much?
flush with wealth and opportunity, and you can make direct correlations to all these developers. You got something to argue about. There's other stuff you all are talking about. I'm not discounting it. I'm not playing it down. I'm just saying, where's the clear link? If you can't show me a clear link, then I can't really stand behind your point or get behind your point. I can see a clear link between the developers, Cara Spencer, and the development in St. Louis City.
I'm saying that there's link. The two links is, well, one, the link is that land is toxic. It's not really flush. That land is the opposite of flush.
Period.
People shouldn't even be living there. Two is that there is strategy to get more flies with sugar than you do with vinegar.
Always.
And you got to be able to get people at the table. You got to be able to call them in and not to call them out. That's how you get real democracy, is by getting people in the room that other people can't.
Right.
Apply that strategy to Tishaura Jones.
Sure. Well, it's more. Well, more I'm talking about the vertical that you're talking about with Cara Spencer and the corporate interests with real estate.
Right.
And she's saying, okay, I'll play your game. I'll listen. And because you've got this much money that you could just keep shoving into Chesterfield or somewhere else, and you're losing your money, I even have an angle that maybe I can incentivize you to stay at the table with me so that we can get what we want out of this and you can get part of you want. Quid pro quo, negotiation. How do we keep you with a seat at the table? And that's a call in as opposed to a call out. It takes tact to do that. I'm not saying that is 100% what's happening. I'm just saying that that's a high likelihood based on good political strategy.
But you just showed me, you just demonstrated a possible relationship, connection between these rich developers and Cara Spencer. Please demonstrate that relationship between Tishaura Jones and her developers.
I can. Just forgot about it. Cara Spencer in one of her commercials says I was against the privatization for the airport. Tishaura was for the privatization for the airport. Supported by millionaires who are going to profit a lot from that.
Definitely not from
I
that.
wrote an op-ed about not privatizing the airport because of the contamination there. So that is an example. And
so you're saying that those who wanted to privatize the airport
Yes.
are giving money to Tishaura Jones. You can
no, I didn't say that. I didn't say that. Don't put words in my mouth.
But I just asked you for a direct connection.
I said the people who were supportive of the privatization of the airport, or let me say it differently. Tishaura was also supportive of that. I would not know who gave to her. I just know because I don't look at that. I don't know. But I can say millionaires were very supportive of the privatization of the airport. Cara was not.
My question again. We can see the connection between the millionaires and Cara Spencer and Atlanta on the NJ. Show me the connection.
We have not looked at MEC. So if you want me to go, okay, then go ahead and do that.
So the first one is Tilly.
Tilly is investing.
Has his PAC, Steve Tilly is on record, $6,000 going directly to Tishaura Jones' campaign.
You're talking 6,000 versus 80,000.
We're
That's
also
pennies.
talking about the difference between Bob Clark actually has given a total of $111,000 to Cara Spencer's campaign.
Right, he's just one of them.
Right, and that still Cara doesn't have as much money as Tishaura.
And that's something else. Every article I've read has said that Cara has outraised money
in this single
in
campaign.
this cycle.
He's looking over for
They
the
never
whole
said
4
cycle.
years.
They just said outrageous. And I'm not saying that that's
this
right.
Single campaign.
I'm just saying I haven't seen any final
Biz
figures.
Journal, three references to bizjournal.com. It's been written about thrice.
That Tishaura has more money
She
than
has
Cara
more money.
Spencer.
Still's got more in the bank. She can still flex harder.
Then
right
where are
now.
her commercials? I just saw one.
You're talking about which one?
I don't know what it was.
I haven't seen
but I
it.
saw
I don't
commercial
trust
for the
neither
show.
one of them.
You don't trust neither one.
Come on. We need to hear from
I'm
you.
just saying,
I
don't trust Tishaura because I don't like the way her wig sit on her head.
I was praying.
I don't like, and I don't like Cara.
Thank you, Mr. Brown.
And I don't like Cara.
Dear God.
I don't like Cara because
Dear
my
God.
ex-wife name was Cara and she wasn't shit.
What the what in the
there's
world?
that.
What in the
Oh my God.
Yeah, see that
No, I'm just joking.
right there.
Right. I was praying. I wasn't praying, but I was thinking, you know what? I have some intelligent folks on this panel. We're going to get through a whole episode without mentioning that.
Thank
You
for
know
the
I got,
levity.
you know I got,
But there's a
you know
level
I
of
got to
honesty
be
to
me,
that,
man.
though.
I got to be me at all times.
I feel
man.
you.
I'm a
I
joke.
got
I've heard black folks talk
I'm a
about the
joke.
clothes she
I'm a
wears,
joke.
trips she's taken, all that stuff. And again, ask yourself,
I like
when
her
was the
clothes.
last time we asked Mayor Slay or Mayor Cruzen about the trip she's taken,
Right.
or the clothes that she wears?
I'm so glad you mentioned Slay, because the thing that pissed me off the most, and we about to wrap this up because this has been an amazing discussion. I'm so glad for all of you on this panel. The thing that blows my mind with this is how you all want to have the nerve. We haven't had a winner in St. Louis like this in years, but y'all want to blame this mayor for not shoveling the streets and the side streets. I lived in the city damn near the entirety of Slay's. Slay didn't shovel a motherfucking thing on the side streets, and that's all I lived on. I lived in Central West End.
Right.
I lived in Central West End.
Right.
Great neighborhood.
Right.
Rich white folks.
Right.
Rich black folks.
Right.
Middle class. They
No
did
residential
not.
streets were ever plowed.
You know what I'm saying? They did not
But this
shovel
her
a
fault.
damn. But now it's a problem.
Right.
Like that's the shit that gets on my nerves with that, and people want to bitch about that. Like the thing that's so crazy to me is that, and this is Miss Nadell's wheelhouse, so I get her for bringing it up. What is it? This damn, I just had it. The stuff with the environment. What's the word though? What's
Radioactive waste.
Radioactive waste. I've never heard that. I've never heard anybody bitch about that in the city of St. Louis. I've never heard that. I'm glad you're bringing.
That's where it started.
No doubt.
And there's more there than in the, well, I can't say. There was more. It was processed down there.
Right.
They have bunkers down there.
Right.
I mean, you just go to Building 51, Building 52. You get
Right.
that bank across the street. I mean, all of that is contaminated.
Right.
I have a good friend who I love, who has she's a black woman gardener too, and I worry about her because her home is like 120, 30 years old, and I think about the soil, the air, all that stuff got into the air.
Right.
It got into our river, flowed down towards Anheuser-Busch.
Now I understand the mentality of St. Louis Negroes. Because I didn't understand it at first.
Because the only other place that's like this
It's the radioactive
It's the
material.
radioactive
It's the
waste.
radioactive waste.
There's a
I get it.
correlation.
No, I
There
get
is
it.
a correlation.
I'm dead serious. You think I'm playing?
Chicago
there's
is
truth
the
in
other
jokes.
place.
Yeah, no creek.
feel
No,
you.
if you
I'm
know about
serious.
Mill Creek Valley or Coldwater Creek.
Yes, they sprayed there
Yeah.
too.
Coldwater Creek
I
is
had
a
clients
mess.
I had a client from Coldwater Creek who had
In the
she
county.
and her mother both had one of the most rare forms of endometriosis that comes specifically from radioactive contamination, and that the Coldwater Creek and Mill Creek Valley stuff was all directly connected to everything that we're talking about as far as the routes.
Right.
And now where the zoo is putting the new zoo in North City, where they're like
North County.
I know.
North County.
Like,
Yeah.
I know.
We're gonna have all these kids from North County, yada yada, woot the woot. Meanwhile, that all is
But
still
wait a
radioactive,
minute.
coming straight out of where. Mill
So that's
Creek
going to be my
Well, that's
response from
Jamestown
now on.
Mall. That's Jamestown Mall. I live up.
Old farms in North County where all that contamination is. Can you believe that? They're trying to put millions of dollars at the county council into that land in North County that's contaminated.
But it was Jamestown Mall for decades, and nobody
That's
tripped off it then.
contaminated.
That's my
That's
response from now on.
contaminated.
When
Yeah.
I see you're contaminated,
You silly as
you're
shit.
radioactive.
You're
Do you not know all
contaminated.
the fights that
You're
happened in
radioactive.
True, but guess what? Nobody ever said it was on radioactive land. I never
Yes,
heard that.
because it's not a
No, you
sexy
can go back to the
conversation.
news.
I'm not getting mad at nobody from St. Louis no more for ignorant behavior.
You
My
from it.
response,
Protesting with
my
signs.
response is from now on.
1980s?
You're radioactive.
1980,
Wow.
People with signs
Wow.
protesting because they got like cancer and shit.
Mr.
Talking
Brown,
about
that's
babies.
the thing. The Jamestown was built on radio.
I can't.
That's all the
verify.
county.
Yeah,
Okay.
Talking about city
it's
today.
Coldwater Creek. It's Coldwater Creek. I mean, there's a whole history of it.
Yeah, I've seen some of Marie's articles and other people talking about the radioactive contamination in that area.
Yeah.
Right,
But
right.
You're radioactive.
And Coldwater Creek and Jamestown Mall are two separate areas.
No,
but-
they're not.
but
Coldwater
I know how they
Creek
connect.
is
I
a
know-
watershed.
Yeah.
It's a watershed,
Yeah,
okay?
yeah, they
so
connect.
the Cowmeyer Creek watershed,
follow it on Google
the
Maps.
Mayoral Creek watershed, which goes into St. Louis City,
Yeah.
okay? So you have the Coldwater
I meant
Creek
separate areas.
watershed.
It's two separate
you
areas
have
of
the
North County.
Schuenberger
Yeah, I know how they're
watershed.
connected like
I
that,
mean,
though.
Hey, you got her started
each
again, bro.
No, I ain't
watershed
mad. I ain't mad.
has multiple
That's why I got
municipalities in it.
her. Yeah. I'm not. I
I
want.
could talk about environmental stuff all day long.
Please
Yep.
do. All
Sorry.
right.
Y'all radioactive out here.
We we are about to.
There is a
Land of the
study
Walking
on that.
Dead, huh?
There is a study.
We're about to get out of here. Rebel, what are your final thoughts on this crazy on this election? And it's so.
It's the same thing it was with dumping old girl. Just
Same
be
thing?
same thing. Listen, man.
Yep.
Whatever you feel.
Old girl is Harris, by the way, y'all.
Whatever you feel is best for you. You make that decision based on on what you feel is best for you. Me, I mean that's it.
Right.
I'm focused on this Dave East tour. I'm getting out of here.
right. We'll do that. We'll mention that on the way out. Mr. Brown, final thoughts.
Don't be bamboozled. Don't be hoodwinked. Don't be led astray. Don't be run amok.
Right.
Laying on
Vote who you're going to vote for, but be informed.
Right.
Understand what's at risk. Understand who's supporting who. Investigate
Right.
what's been done and what has not been done. Don't take my word for it. It's just be an informed voter. That's all I can ask. Be an informed voter.
Right. 100%. That is. Those are words to live by. What say you?
Talk about being an informed voter. If we don't get more than 18% of the public to come out for the next election, we're not even going to really know what this election was really supposed to look like.
Right.
So step one is get the fuck out there and actually vote.
There you go.
That's step one.
There you go.
Step two is if we're talking about like Trump versus Harris type stuff, we're talking about corporatists versus oligarchs. Okay, so we're talking about private entity millionaires versus corporate billionaires. So you have folks that are crazy in their own pocket money, and you have those that have it invested into large corporate infrastructure, trade agreements, all of that. So when you're talking about being informed, if you want to look at the people that are supporting who, you can follow their money and actually where their money goes into federal politics and into war crime and all that, because that's how all that shit trickles down. The biggest thing in local politics is the Israeli super PAC and how they buy both sides of our election. That's it. So
mostly Republicans, though. Mostly Republicans, but you're right.
Except for Wesley. Republicans.
So make informed votes.
Bill, you suck.
Look up corporatists and oligarchs, and that's what we're really dealing with. And then also, you have to actually get out there and fucking vote. Because if you're not out there, then all you're doing is just talking shit. So do the thing.
Gonna be so loud.
Do the thing.
All right, and I'll say this real quick before I get to Ms. Nadal. I'd push back on Harris being. I don't think she's a private oligarch. I don't think she's a rich private oligarch. Yes, was she funded maybe, by private companies? Yes, or corporations? Yes, but I think that woman, if she was president like she should be, would be doing a hell of a lot better in actually looking out for people as opposed to Dump, who is trying to rob the people and get as much money for him and his boy Elon.
That's because she was a corporatist. She wasn't an oligarch. Harris was the corporatist.
I say the corporatist was Dump. What are you talking about?
He's the oligarch. That's
he's the oligarch
That's
guy.
all the private interest money that, like the Musks and the Bezos, the people that personally are the most super.
So
rich.
how is she the corporate? Because
it's all the PACs that are invested into mass corporations that have weapons trades and have agriculture trades and have massive infrastructure built into the rest of world economics.
Right.
That's why the oligarchs are saying, fuck all of our world trade agreements, fuck everything we got with everybody else's shit. We're going to make it all, we're all going to do it all ourselves.
Right.
And the corporatists are saying, no, we need all of these massive agreements with China and Russia and blah, 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 blah.
But she didn't have the corporate sponsorship that Dump had. She didn't have it.
When you look at the intersection, most of the funding for Trump is coming from the private funding of individuals.
Private and corporate and corporations.
Those are private people that own corporations. The Musk, the Bezos.
I hear you.
Zuckerberg.
Yeah.
While when you look at the PACs that are supporting the Democrats, it's always this big web of corporate bullshit.
It's the names. Okay.
Yeah.
I get
Both
what you're
of
saying.
them
I see the difference. Thank you for
and
breaking that
that's the
down.
thing of either side of them, you're still dealing with corruption. You're dealing it's so much corruption on both sides. So that's again goes back to the idea of false duality. Like, this is not a false dualism game of which one of them is right and is wrong in that sense.
Yeah.
You gotta look at these bigger systems and how their politics are gonna play out past the election. And then you have to look at everyone around them. You have to look at your alder people, your board of aldermen, and don't just stop at the mayor.
Definitely.
Your local I'm the president of my neighborhood association. The faster that you get involved in local politics, the faster you're gonna see how you can make systemic change with small increments.
100%. Yeah, I get it. I got more pushback for that, but
Next episode.
Right, for real.
Next.
Ms. Nadal.
Well, I would say that Cara learned what she missed on the first go round when she ran for mayor. But with that said, Tishaura could still win. She could still win. What I see on the streets, she won't, or it's going to be very narrow. But right now, looking, having been someone who's run for office before, lost twice out of 11 times.
It's a good record.
She doesn't have the ground support. I just don't see it. But she could still win. And no matter who wins, they have a long journey to get things right on the right track. And it's not going to be easy for either of them. But what I would say is to have a plan of action, put the right people in those positions who know what the hell they're talking about, and please have an environmental plan, because one of the reasons why we are losing black people, just one of the reasons, is because they have been exposed to radioactive waste, to dioxin, and all these other things, and our community has decreased because of these illnesses. Do that.
Okay. That's a fine right there. We're gonna have a fine system set up, like my boy Levitar. I totally agree with you. I think every point you made was valid, and your opinion on this was not expected. I did not think you were going to come with that, and I loved it. Where can the people find you?
You can find me at Hounding Clayton on YouTube, Instagram, TikTok.
Tell them what Hounding Clayton is. Tell the folks.
Hounding Clayton
there you go.
is a podcast that I created after researching St. Louis County and working in St. Louis County. And being interested in St. Louis County politics. There are a lot of things that happen on that county council and many things that happen right now in that administration that are mischievous, that are misguided. And I just make it a point to talk about issues dealing with the county as I see fit, because it's not being covered.
It's not. I was blessed to be on this woman's first episode of Hounding Clayton. It was great. Our conversation was outstanding. Great verbal back and forth. And this woman is very informative of local and statewide politics, as you can tell. So make sure you all check out that show and look for her. B, where can the people find you? Besides Cola Lounge, 2834 Cherokee Street, the first ever cannabis consumption lounge in St. Louis. There have been imitators since, but make sure you check out the originator, which is this man.
That's right, where you can stay always happy and high, because if it's not how I am, it's how I'm trying to get.
Get it.
Yeah, so definitely just the best place to follow us is at STL _Cannabis Club. That's CANNABISCLUB. I do have a private page, or my personal page, at It's Brenreal, ITSBRENREAL. And every once in a while, I'll drop some personal anecdotes on there. You will see I have over 300 slides on the backdoor infiltration of Israeli super PACs into our corporate, down to our local politics.
Yes.
Over 300. So if you want to check out some really comprehensive background on what I think is really going on, check out my personal page, because I definitely can't say that stuff on my business.
Is that on your IG?
It's been real.
Oh, his IG, y'all, is so informative.
It's been real, y'all.
You can learn stuff from his page. You can find out what's going on at Cola Lounge next, because Cola Lounge has a ton of stuff going on all the time. So
420 is coming up. You know we're going to be busy.
Ooh, 420. It's the holiday. All right, Mr. Brown, where can we find you?
I guess the best thing for me is the St. Louis American. To find my articles, it'd be the St. Louis American newspaper.
There it is.
.com.
There it is.
Go to my Facebook page, Sylvester Brown Jr., and you'll see other links to my blog. Yeah. But I'm not as hip as you guys. As far
No,
as
sir. You are
podcasts and all that kind of stuff. I'm old school.
You
bring it though.
You do, and you have been hip for the last 35 years of informing this area. So thank you.
Appreciate it.
For
I
real.
can find out more about this young brother though.
You're gonna learn. You go to his store, go to his shop.
Okay.
You'll find out.
And this place here was an amazing studio. You guys, I've never heard of it, never seen it, but
Right on.
I feel blessed.
Hey, you getting some love over here, Kick It. I hope you appreciate it. Yeah, Overtime Studio started by Justin Kick It. My City, My Music. You know, it's a bed. It's for what you need. It's like when I was a kid in the 80s, I was always mad that when you watch stuff from like the 70s, 60s, 50s, kids after school had somewhere to go, right? They had somewhere to kick it. And, you know, Happy Days or what, I couldn't stand that show. I had to turn as soon as it came on. But the kids had somewhere to go. This is somewhere for people to go. If you want to get your music out of you, if you want to get your podcast out of you, you want to get your takes out, it's My City, My Music.
Okay.
You know, that's what it is. Rebel, where can the people find you? Because you got a lot going.
Pretty soon, wherever you turn your TV on at, looking at YouTube and all that, whatever city you in, I'll be there. I'm on tour with Dave East starting April 16th.
Nice.
Wherever you get your music from, I'm there.
There you go. You give out the social.
It's the same ones every week. MONTEGAREBEL. That's
There you
it.
go.
Montega Rebel.
We doing it for the slow folks in the back. All right, that'll work. What's the name? This was great. I knew it would be. This was an outstanding episode. One thing here personally for me, driving to the studio from 70, I'm on Kings Highway. I've never seen Kings Highway paved. Newly fresh paved road. I think that happened last year. What the woman said she was going to do in North City, I've physically seen it. It hasn't been to the extent that we want it, but I've seen some changes. I love how it looks at Kings Highway and Dr. King.
The page. That's new in the last 2 weeks.
That's what I'm saying. Like, the woman is actually getting things done. I love how it looks at the intersection of Dr. King and Kings Highway.
Sweetie Pass.
You know, well, No, I'm sorry. I'm thinking. What's Dr. King and King's Highway where Woes is? What's that intersection right there? What's in that Dr. King?
It's Dr. King.
Yeah, right there. I love what Jason Tatum. Shout out to Tatum, what he's doing for that building. And I mean, this you talk about someone who is actually doing something for their city. That's Jason damn Tatum. And to me, Ms. Jones, if I lived in the city, I'd be voting for her. I think she deserves another term so she can fulfill those promises she talked about. But you know, it's another thing. We will find out April 8th, and also too, gentrification is real. I used to work at Missouri Historical Society in 2004, and literally, y'all, I was an AV tech there. I had to set up the audio visual. They're playing back in 04. We're taking back the city. There was no one in that room that was any other color but white. This was their plan, and they are implementing it. I believe that it is going to go full force with Spencer, but hopefully you all will come out and vote, because like B says, Mr. England, we have to vote, and especially locally. Thank you so much, y'all, for coming out. Another episode of High Off the Glass, my esteemed panel. My name's OThaGreat. I'm ready to go smoke some. Keep smoking, keep hooping.
Stay happy and high.
Yeah, I mean, we out. Go Yankees and Celtics. Celtics winning the chip again. Let's go.